Okay, I've had a lot of questions regarding how to correctly tie a streaking caddis. I have done this before, but I'd like to give you a little bit more in-depth information about the deer hair. This is what's generally sold as spinning deer hair that you buy in fly tying shop. Yeah, it's a bit short for my liking, and it's a bit thin, and there's a little bit too much fur, but you can get rid of that. But the hair is very thin, and this isn't going to give optimal floating ability or spinning. So if I show you a piece of hair that I've just processed from last year now, this is a piece of roe deer from that I shot myself. It's been in the freezer, but you see the quality of that in respect to that. And this is, I mean, this is a good quality piece of deer hair really, but it can't be compared to this. And this is what you're looking for. This was shot on the 23rd of December last year, so the last day of hunting, so the coldest day normally to harvest the roe deer hair. You can see how thick this is. There's nearly not any under fur because it's so dense to start with. So if you're not a hunter or you hunt yourself, this is the fur you want, the hair you want, and it's from the middle section of the centre back. This is the thickest part and the best part, straightest hair. The hair on the stomach can be as dense, but because of its location on the body, when the animal lies down all the time, this hair is getting squashed as it's lying down. The one on the back is never touched, so it's nice and thick and dense and straight. So we'll go over to doing the tying of the streaking now. Okay, we're starting off with the Mustad R30 size 10, the classic dry fly hook. And if you're tying with deer hair, spinning deer hair, you've got to have Dyneema. It's a whole different game if you're using this tying thread. So we'll put a foundation of tying thread down and go all the way back. Now if I'm doing a deer hair body, a spun deer hair body that starts all the way back here, like for instance a Goddard's, then I'd put a whip finish knot in there now to stop the tying thread sliding back. Now what we need, because we're using Dyneema, is some wax. So we need to wax our thread here because we're going to dub the body. There we go. Now it's an Antron dubbing I use for the streaking caddis body. I like this because it floats well and it gives a good body shape, and it builds up easily. This is quite a big body on the streaking. So I'll just put a bit of this on the tying thread. Now this wouldn't be possible if I didn't put if I didn't wax the thread first, because the Dyneema is, although it does have a lot of advantages, one of the disadvantages is it's very slippery. So we do one turn in and we hold that in, then we can start tightening up the dubbing rope a little. Very good. Now we can build up this body. It has to be quite large at the back. Pull that down, and then we'll go forward. I'm getting there, need a little bit more on there, but I've still got enough wax on this thread. That'll be enough for us, I reckon. So I'll just put this on. Pull this down and tighten. I can go back into the dubbing a little bit there, like so. Now what I like to do with this Antron dubbing for the body, before I tie in the deer hair wing and head, is I like to brush this out just a little bit. This gives a nice trailing shuck effect of a caddis shedding its shuck just as it's hatched and starts skating across the water. Right, the next step is dealing with the deer hair. Now it's important, it's a lot easier if you use serrated edged scissors. This grips the deer hair when you're cutting and works much better. So what we need is a much larger than usual bunch for the streaking of deer hair. So you need a good heavy bunch. It's much easier to reduce a bunch than to add to it. So remove that. We grip the bunch like this and we remove any longer hairs that are there. Then we swap it over to the other hand, if you're right-handed of course, and then what we need is a comb. So we need to comb out all the loose hairs, and if you can see it, all that underfur. Now it's important that you remove this, because if you don't, when you try and spin this hair, the underfur, these very, very fine underfur fibres that you see there, will wrap around individual hairs and act as an anchor and stop the hair from spinning correctly. You'll get an uneven head and it just won't work. So you have to remove all that. Now if there's a lot of underfur, I like to use a dubbing needle first just to pull it out like this. You see how that's working? And then I have a little tool here which is it's really a carpet gripper, I think, and this works a treat for pulling the hair out. So we want to remove all that. Alright, once all that's removed, or you've removed most of it, we can place it in a hair stacker. Now your hair stacker, I've seen lots of them. Some of them are just absolutely unusable. Normally they're made out of wood or bone. They're too light. You need a good heavy hair stacker if you're going to stack your hair properly, for streaking caddis with a good size opening, because you need to get a whole bunch of hair in there. So we'll give that a bang now. Now when you're banging your hair, you want it to go down like that, and you cover the top with your finger. Also very important, and you give it good hard bangs. So when you pull it out, it's like this. Now if you turn it slightly, you'll see that the hair points downwards. This is the way we want it for the wing, like this. But what I'm going to do now, before I do this, is I'm going to take the hair out once again and clean it. When you pull it out, you'll see that there's some loose hairs. So we'll just go through this again slowly, carefully, just to get out anything remaining. Okay, then again in the stacker, just push these down. There's a hair. There's one that's gone the wrong way. There we are. Excellent. And then once again. Okay, there we are now. Pull this out, measure the length. That's about right. Remove those. Now we want to go a little bit further back than that into the dubbing. Now I want once and twice around, and then pull towards me, like so. Keep it nice and tight, and you mustn't let go of this, of the wing. So now we'll go zigzag through the hair, so you don't tie any down flat and we go forward. Fold back the hair and go directly behind the hook eye. Tighten up, and this will trim off the smaller hairs that are trapped under the tying thread. There we go. And we want our whip finish. Give it 1 and 2. I never varnish a streaking caddis, and I've never had one fall apart on me. So remove the tying thread. Then the next stage is just as important before you start cutting. What we want now is a toothbrush or the likes, and we need to go around. If you see underneath there, there's no hair under the wing on the body. Yeah, but it's around the head where it should be. So that's perfect. The wingtips are nice and straight, but we have to brush out any fibres that may be trapped before we start cutting. Okay, back to the serrated scissors. Now the first cut is directly underneath, flat, like so. Then be quite brutal, keeping the scissors at an angle with the wing. Go all the way around and trim off the rest. Now, many say you have to cut from the back, but as you see you don't, and you don't need to use a razor blade on the streaking. One there I can't get. I'll just hold that like that. And that'll do us. So now what we want to do is we want to cover the whole wing like this, and we take a lighter. Now you mustn't burn, you just want to singe. Now this does several things. It not only tightens up the head, but it tightens up all the deer hair super tight that has been spun and in the wing. So once you hold the wing down and you burn the head, you'll see that the wing stays down. Yeah, so we'll turn that around under there, under that. Now you see the wing is forming absolutely perfectly as to what it should do. So what we need to do now is we just take the scissors, because I like the streaking to fish a little bit deeper with the body in the surface, so I just cut a wee bit of that off so you see the body under the wing like that, and the same on the other side. A little bit more there. And then what we can do is just remove the soot. I'm better to use scissors. A couple of longer hairs there, and take those out. But that's us. That's the streaking caddis.